There's a certain hierarchy of trust in the digital world. You might not trust that random email from a prince, and you're probably skeptical of a pop-up offering a free iPad. But there are certain tools, especially if you're in IT or development, that you just trust.
The foundational tools, the ones that just work.
Exactly. I'm talking about your text editor. It's like the hammer in your toolbox. It's supposed to be neutral, reliable, completely transparent. You don't expect your hammer to be spying on you.
Or, in this case, you don't expect your hammer to be secretly working a second job for a criminal syndicate while you're asleep.
That is the perfect, if slightly unsettling way to put it. And that's the reality we're unpacking today. We've got a stack of reports here from January 2026, specifically focusing on analysis from Acegate.
Right.
They've uncovered a sophisticated campaign that takes one of the most beloved tools out there, Notepad++ Boat, and turns it into a Trojan horse.
And we aren't talking about a simple prank or, a virus that just deletes your files. This isn't vandalism. This is about a fundamental shift in how threat actors are monetizing infected systems.
We're talking about proxyjacking.
Exactly.
Proxyjacking is a term that's popping up more and more. So the mission for this deep dive is, I guess, twofold. First, we need to understand the mechanics of this specific campaign, how a threat actor known as Larva-25012 is bypassing modern security.
And second, we need to understand the economics of it. Why proxyjacking? Why do they want your bandwidth instead of your data?
It is a fascinating and, frankly, a somewhat terrifying evolution.
It really is. We're moving from the era of data theft to the era of, resource theft.
Okay, so let's start with the trap itself, Notepad++. For those who don't code, this isn't the basic Notepad on Windows. This is the souped-up version.
Right. It's open source. It's lightweight. It handles pretty much every coding language you can throw at it.
I probably have 3 versions of it installed on my laptop right now. How does this group, Larva-25012, turn that against us?
It relies entirely on the user's desire for convenience. This campaign specifically targets users searching for the software online. Maybe they're looking for an older version or, unfortunately, a cracked version on some third-party site.
Which, let's be honest, is already risky behavior.
Right.
We all know you should go to the official site, but sometimes you're in a hurry, or you Google Notepad++ download and just click the first thing that looks promising.
And that is where they catch you. Larva-25012 has set up these deceptive ad pages and fake download portals that look, identical to the real thing.
Okay.
But here's the masterstroke that really separates this from your run-of-the-mill malware. They're hosting the malicious files on GitHub repositories.
Wait, GitHub? That's like the Library of Congress for code.
Exactly. It's a massive trust signal. If I'm a developer and I see a download link pointing to github.com, my guard instantly drops. I assume it's open source, vetted by the community.
That's psychological warfare. They know the platform carries authority.
Precisely. GitHub lends this air of legitimacy that a random URL just doesn't have. And to make the deception complete, when you run the installer, it actually installs the real Notepad++.
So the application opens?
It opens, it runs, it saves files. You can write your code, edit your config files. Functionally, everything seems normal.
That is so creepy. So you're sitting there typing away, thinking you've just installed a helpful tool, and meanwhile,
in the background, you've just kicked off a very complex infection chain. And interestingly, while this campaign has been distributing pretty much everywhere, the ASCC analysts noted it's been hitting South Korea particularly hard in this initial wave.
But given the method, GitHub, and search ads, this could easily be, or probably already is, a global problem.
Oh, absolutely. The internet doesn't have borders for search results.
Okay, so the beta is set. You've downloaded what you think is a text editor.
Yeah.
Before we get into the how, the technical nitty-gritty, let's talk about the what. You mentioned proxyjacking. For years, the big boogeyman was cryptojacking. That's where they steal your CPU cycles to mine Bitcoin or whatever. I remember that era. Your fans would spin up. The laptop gets hot enough to fry an egg.
Yeah.
Everything slows to a crawl. Is proxyjacking just a variation of that?
It's a similar business model, passive income from stolen resources, but the resource is completely different. Cryptojacking steals compute power.
Okay.
Proxyjacking steals bandwidth.
So they are hijacking your internet connection.
Precisely. Think about the value of a residential IP address. Your home IP is trusted. Netflix trusts it, Google trusts it, banks trust it. It's different from a data center IP, which often gets flagged as a VPN or a bot.
So Larva-25012 infects my computer and suddenly my IP address is up for rent.
Exactly. They turn your computer into a proxy node, Then they sell access to your connection to third parties.
And who are the customers? Who's buying access to my home internet connection?
It's a mixed bag. On the, let's say, gray side, it might be market research firms. They want to scrape pricing data from e-commerce sites like Amazon, but those sites block commercial servers.
So they route their traffic through my PC to look like a normal shopper.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's annoying, but maybe not that dangerous. What about the darker side?
The darker side is other cybercriminals. If I want to launch a DDoS attack or commit ad fraud or hack into a corporate network, I certainly don't want to do it from my own IP address.
You want to do it from mine.
I want to do it from yours.
That is the nightmare scenario. The police knock on my door because an attack originated from my living room.
That's the liability risk. And unlike cryptojacking, you won't hear your fans spinning like a jet engine. Bandwidth theft is silent.
You wouldn't even know what's happening.
You might just notice your Netflix is buffering a bit more, or a web page takes an extra second to load. You'll blame your ISP, maybe reset your router.
But really, it's the malware routing traffic through your machine. The reports name two specific programs being used here: Infatica and Digital Pulse. These sound like legitimate companies.
Well, they operate in a legal gray area. They present themselves as legitimate peer-to-business proxy networks. They claim they pay users for their bandwidth.
But in this case, the user hasn't consented.
Not at all. The malware installs these agents silently to monetize your connection without you seeing a dime or even knowing it's happening.
So we know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into the anatomy part of our title. This is where the report gets really interesting for anyone who's a bit tech savvy. ASCC highlights that Larva-25012 isn't just throwing a simple .exe file at us.
No, not at all. They've developed two distinct, highly sophisticated infection paths.
And this is where their evolution really shows, right?
Yes, exactly. It all depends on whether you download the MSI installer or the ZIP archive. Both lead to the same place, but the journeys are very different.
Well, let's break down path A first. The MSI installer. This is the standard Windows setup file most people are used to.
Right. You run setup.msi. It installs the real Notepad++A so the user is happy. But it also drops a malicious C++ DLL file into a temporary folder. Now, usually malware wants to run immediately.
Oh, no.
But this one plays the long game. It registers itself in the Windows task scheduler.
I saw the task name in the report. They call it Notepad Update Scheduler.
Simple, boring, and very effective. If you're auditing your scheduled tasks and you see that, you just skip right past it. You assume it's just keeping the app updated.
It creates a sense of normalcy. So the timer goes off, the task triggers. What happens?
It uses a legitimate Windows binary, rundle32.exe. This is a standard tool used to run code in DLL files. By using it, the malware makes its execution look like a normal system process.
It's living off the land, using the system's own tools against it.
Exactly, but then it gets aggressive. It performs process injection. It hunts for a specific process called aggregatorhost.exe.
Aggregator host. That sounds vague.
It is. It's a background Windows process, usually related to notifications or tiles. It's always running pretty quiet. The malware injects shellcode directly into that process.
And from inside that safe haven.
It generates a PowerShell script. And this is the part that really impressed the analysts, not in a good way.
It downloads Node.js.
Yes.
To be clear, we're talking about the actual legitimate Node JavaScript runtime, the massive environment developers use.
The official signed binary from the Node website.
Why? Why go through all that trouble? That seems like overkill.
It's a technique we're calling bring your own land. Security software trusts Node.js. It's a developer tool. If Node.exe starts executing a script, your antivirus is much less likely to flag it.
So they're betting the security software will see Node.exe and just say, oh, that's a developer tool, let it pass.
Pretty much. They install Node and then use it to run an obfuscated JavaScript file called deeploader, hiding in plain sight.
That's path A. Now, path B involves a ZIP archive, and this one uses a technique that, well, every IT professional needs to understand it.
Yeah.
DLL sideloading.
It's a classic, but still incredibly effective. In the ZIP file, you have a legitimate executable-setup.exe, and sitting right next to it is a file named textshaping.dll.
Textshaping.dll. Sounds plausible, like a library for rendering fonts or something.
That's what the executable thinks too. When Windows runs an app, it looks for specific DLLs. There's a search order, and it looks in the current directory before it looks in the system folders.
So it's like, if I'm a chef and I shout, I need salt, and there's a salt shaker right next to me, I grab that one. I don't go to the main pantry.
Perfect analogy. And in this case, The salt on the counter is poison. The legitimate setup.exe grabs the malicious text-shaping.dll because it's right there. It loads it and boom, the code executes.
And this bypasses security because the user technically clicked on a legitimate signed executable.
Correct. The trusted app is doing the loading. The antivirus sees the signed setup.exe and thinks everything is fine. Once that DLL is loaded, it decrypts shellcode, deploys a dropper, and then it decides it needs a legitimate interpreter. But this time, not Node.
Let me guess, Python.
Spot on. It downloads a legitimate copy of Python from the official Foundation website. Then it uses that to run a Python-based version of dploader.
I'm seeing a pattern here. Whether it's Node or Python, Larva-25012 is obsessed with using standard developer tools to mask what they're doing.
It just shows the sophistication of the actor. This isn't a script kiddie. This is someone who understands that modern EDR systems are looking for anomalies. A dev machine running Python or Node isn't an anomaly.
It's just Tuesday.
Exactly.
So whether we came via the MSI Node path or the ZIP Python path, we end up at dploader. This is the bridge to the final payload. But before it brings in the proxyware, it essentially blinds the security guard.
It does. It goes to war with Windows Defender.
What does it look like?
It's aggressive. It modifies the registry to add exclusion paths. It literally tells Windows Defender, do not scan the folder where I'm hiding.
That's bold. It's like a burglar reprogramming the alarm to ignore the hallway he's standing in.
It gets worse. It disables the notification system. So even if Defender did find something, it couldn't pop up a warning to you. Wow.
And finally, and this is crucial, it blocks the sample submission feature.
That's the feature where Windows sends suspicious files to Microsoft for analysis, right?
Yes. This is how herd immunity works in cybersecurity. By cutting that line, Larva-25012 prevents the wider security community from learning about this new variant. It isolates the victim completely.
Once the coast is clear, the loader injects the final payload. And the target here is explorer.exe.
Which is the heart of the Windows interface. Your file manager, your taskbar, your desktop. If the computer is on, explorer.exe is running.
So by injecting the proxyware there, they ensure 100% uptime.
Right.
And the proxyware itself, the thing actually selling your bandwidth, is written in Go.
Yes, the digital pulse agent is a Go binary. Go is becoming a favorite for malware authors. It compiles into a single large binary that includes all its dependencies.
And why does that matter for security?
It makes the file very noisy and massive.
Yeah.
It's notoriously difficult for security researchers to reverse engineer because the code structure is just complex and bloated. It's hard to just read what it's doing. So, stepping back, we've seen a shift. The report mentions Larva-25012 used to use .NET malware. Now they're mixing C++, Python, Node, and Go. What does it tell us?
It tells us they are iterating. They treat their malware like a software product. They saw .NET was getting caught, so they pivoted. The shift to bring your own interpreter is a direct response to better behavioral analysis by antivirus vendors.
It's an arms race. We build a higher wall, they bring a taller ladder.
And in this case, the ladder is made of legitimate tools we use every day.
So we've established the how and the why. Now the so what? Why does this matter to the listener right now beyond just don't download viruses?
I think it highlights a massive blind spot in how we think about computer security. We are obsessed with data protecting our passwords, our photos, our documents.
Right.
But we rarely think about our connection as an asset.
We think of bandwidth as infinite, disposable. It's just there.
Exactly. But to a criminal, a clean residential IP address is a high-value commodity. If they infect 10,000 computers, they have built a massive decentralized proxy network.
And they can sell access to that network for huge profits. While the victims, the people paying the electric and internet bills, are the ones shouldering the risk.
I keep going back to that analogy of the driveway. Imagine you go to work, and while you're gone, someone parks a car in your driveway. They pay a parking attendant Larva-25012 for the spot.
And you come home, the car is gone. You don't even know it was there.
But the pavement is getting worn down. And more importantly, if that car was a getaway vehicle for a bank robbery, the police are coming to your house.
Because the license plate was spotted at your address. That is the perfect encapsulation of the risk. You become an unwitting accomplice.
And good luck explaining to the authorities that it wasn't you when all the digital logs point straight to your modem.
So practically speaking, if I'm listening to this and getting paranoid, maybe I downloaded a cracked version of something last week, what am I looking for?
Based on what we discussed, you have a few specific indicators. First, check the Windows Task Scheduler.
Yeah, open the Start menu, type Task Scheduler.
Look for Notepad Update Scheduler. That is a smoking gun. The real Notepad++ does not create a task with that name.
Good to know. What else?
Second, check your file system. If you see textshaping.dll in your Notepad++ directory, or if you find a random installation of Python or Node.js that you know you didn't put there, that's a major red flag.
And on the performance side, it would be subtle.
It's subtle, but trust your gut. If your internet feels sluggish, if pages are timing out, or if you see network activity in Task Manager when you aren't doing anything, investigate it.
And the prevention piece seems obvious, but it bears repeating.
Source verification. This whole campaign relies on people clicking the first link on Google. If you want Notepad++, type notepad-++.org directly into the address bar. Don't trust a GitHub repo just because it's on GitHub.
It's amazing how the landscape shifts. We spent so long worrying about ransomware locking up our files. Now we have to worry about our computer having a secret second job in the gig economy.
It's the gig economy of malware. Your computer is working for them 24/7, and you aren't getting a paycheck. You're just paying the overhead.
It really changes the concept of ownership. We think of our computers as our private digital homes. We lock the doors, close the curtains, but in the world of proxyjacking, the walls are much thinner than we think.
It raises a fundamental question. If your computer is processing instructions for someone else, routing traffic for someone else, and prioritizing their needs over yours, is it really your computer anymore?
Or are you just a landlord for a ghost tenant? That is a haunting thought to leave us with. If your internet is dragging today, maybe it's not the weather. Maybe your PC is just working overtime for the wrong boss. Something to check on tonight.
Indeed. Stay vigilant and verify your sources.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.